Hey everybody, welcome to GT Live. My name is Brandon Jones. Today our game is Forza Horizon 2, the Fast and Furious update being played by Mr. Daniel Bloodworth over there. Today our giveaway is Unmechanical Extended, which is a pretty awesome Metroid-ish independent game. We're going to be giving away 3 codes for people with the best questions we're going to be answering at the end of the show. And last but not least, our guest is Mr. Geoff Keighley.
Happening, Joe?
Who's joining us for the first time on the GT Live stage.
And apparently this is the new home to the bonus round as well.
Yes, so we're going to be recording bonus round here tomorrow on the same stage.
That's right. Well, that's very exciting. No, it's cool to see this whole setup, and yeah, I'd love to see you guys doing this live stuff, and fun to be here for the full hour of video game goodness.
Yeah, man. Well, it's fun to interview you. It's fun to put you. A lot of people. I was seeing a lot of people in the comments. Yeah, that were mentioning that they're like, hey, Keighley in the interview chair.
Yes, I know. Yeah, exactly. I'm usually asking questions, but no, it's fun to be here live and hang out, talk about games, and yeah, it's a good time of year. It's good stuff starting to come out, and E3 is 2 months away. So yeah, let's chat.
So is that intentional? Do you like to be on the other side of the interview? Do you like to be the one probing the questions as opposed to answers?
I mean, I don't know. It probably goes back to the early days when I started as a journalist, where it's better to you're never supposed to insert yourself into the story. It's sort of like it's better to profile the other people and sort of disappear a little bit. So yeah, I tend to, I don't know. Like I used to write a lot more kind of editorials and sort of do more of my own voice, and now yeah, I've sort of disappeared more behind the scenes doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's fun to talk about games, and honestly, like it's cool to have this live studio now that we can do this, right?
Oh yeah,
and it's
sure.
Like bonus round we'll do, but then we'll tape it. And then, it's like 4 weeks of sort of the same set. And, often people will say on the forums, like, why are they talking about this? Because last week, something got announced. And I love the immediacy of doing this all live with everyone very attentively playing games over there.
So unfortunately...
or watching us. Are you watching us or are you playing a game?
I'm playing a game.
Okay.
Yeah, Blood's a professional. He's going to stay laser focused. So you can see we got Forza going behind us. We'll talk about the game in just a second. So you were talking about not making yourself part of the story. Is that why you started the Game Awards to really stay on the periphery of games?
I think yeah. I mean, Game Awards was. I mean, it was partially me wanting to keep that going because I think I think it's an important thing to have like a big end of the year awards ceremony. As
Definitely.
Having worked with me at Spike and GT for many years, we did video game awards there for a long time, and there was a lot of great things about it and a lot of things that people didn't like about it. So last year was my shot to sort of do it on my own and take some of my own kind of personal risk to say, like, I think we can do this as a community, build a great show. And it was people like Game Trailers, IGN, GameSpot, Twitch, YouTube, all the people that supported it. The distribution side really helped out, and then also the publishers like really wanted to make a great video game awards show. And I would talk to people after the VGAs in previous years, and they'd always say to me, it's like, this is really important that we get this done right. And when I think it became clear that maybe we weren't going to keep doing it at Spike, yeah, the industry really rallied behind it. Like I remember having one conversation with Sam Hauser from Rockstar, one of the VGX after party. He's like, no, it's so important that we have like a great award show for our industry that the mainstream pays attention to. And I love the DICE Awards and the GDC Awards and BAFTA, but those are sort of shows that are built for the people in the audience. And you get a couple thousand people watching on Twitch, but Game Awards now, I mean, we had millions of people that watched it, and they tune in for, a lot of the news, and, is this game going to be revealed? What's going to happen there? But we also, it's a great opportunity to, like, recognize amazing developers and amazing people in the industry. So, yeah, it was really exciting to have it be a success last year, and now we're going to have a whole year to kind of build it and make it even better.
So you mentioned you get a whole year. Was it kind of a last-minute thing? Were you kind of scrambling at the last minute to get...
Well, sure. I mean, it was, it was scary because I think... it became clear that we weren't going to do something at Spike around it for a variety of reasons. And yeah, I sort of had to debate, well, do I want to do this? What does it look like? Are the publishers going to support it? And so there was a lot of, kind of last summer, a lot of soul searching about like, do we do this? What does it look like? Talking to like everyone across the industry, and I put together a great advisory board of like all the leaders of
really
consoles.
Great advisory board.
Yeah,
a lot of good people on that team.
Yes, yeah, they all said yes, which was nice. So they all supported me, and when I sort of had their backing, I'm like, hey, we have the whole industry behind this. Let's take a risk. But yeah, it was really, I mean, that show was put together in probably about 2-3 months.
That's nuts.
And typically VGAs, in the past, it was sort of E3 would happen, and like 2 or 3 weeks later, like we're out talking to people about what we're gonna do. So yeah, this year it's been nice to sort of like know the fans are on our side, and said like this was a great show, and it had its issues, had its problems, but I think people saw that the soul of it was in the right place, and it's also the award show genre people generally don't like. So it's like, it's rare people are like, that Oscars was amazing. Like, those guys nailed it. And it's like, the Grammys were the best Grammys ever. It's like people normally say, you suffer through them. So to do an award show that people actually didn't mind was sort of a nice feeling, because I think people that work in the award show business, it's very hard to please the audience at home.
And that was actually the first award show I'd ever attended in person,
okay.
actually. And a lot of people that have been to the VGAs before were like,
Yeah.
it's really fun. There's lots of celebrities there. And I'm like, I don't know if that's really my cup of tea. But I really enjoyed it. I really had a good
Cool.
time.
Yeah,
hanging out
I
there.
think the thing that's fun about that show is that there's so few points throughout the year where you can, meet up with other people in the industry. And what I really wanted to do last year was have that huge venue, which was, probably too big for building a show in a couple months. But what I really wanted to do was have like those moments where you would have Reggie from Nintendo, real fans, and people from the industry, and that cross-pollinating all those audiences is really cool, because lots of people like love all these video game developers, and like Kojima was there. It's like, how often do regular people get to interact with Hideo Kojima, Reggie Fils-Aimé, people like that? So it was important for me to have a lot of the video game celebrities there too. And yeah, I'm glad you had a good time.
You open with Nintendo.
Yeah.
You open with Koji on stage, and then go straight to Reggie.
Yep.
Was that intentional? Did you know? I mean, Zelda was the big.
Yeah, I mean, we knew. We had conversations with everyone across the industry about what they wanted to show at the show, and since everyone was on the advisory board, there were everyone sort of had an idea. And Nintendo, I mean, they had talked about doing a bunch of things with us. They weren't quite sure what they were going to do. It became clear that I was the one that really pushed to do something musical with Mr. Kondo, which I thought would be really kind of cool and special, and they responded to that and liked that idea. The Imagine Dragons thing came in, I don't know, only 2 or 3 weeks before the show.
Wow.
That was going to happen. And yeah, Zelda, we knew that. I think I was always pushing, obviously, for Zelda, because that would be an amazing moment. That's the big game everyone wanted to see more of. It was many years in the past I've asked for Zelda games, and they don't come through. But yeah, it was really amazing how it came together. And then I heard only a couple weeks before the show that Mr. Enuma was considering doing something around Zelda. And initially it sounded to me more like he was gonna maybe sort of show a little bit more of the scene from E3, that short little piece, and show that was real. So I was like, oh, that could be kind of cool. But you don't quite know what you're gonna get. And then, it was like the week of the show. They're like, oh, well, Mr. Numa's taped his video. Mr. Miyamoto's in it. It's about 5 minutes long, and he does like a full demo of the game. And I was like, wow. And so it was sort of unexpected how much great content was in that. And we were pleasantly surprised. And even when I saw the video, I'm like, wow, they're just like playing the game. And I think people really responded to kind of how raw and real that demonstration was. Because, so often at VGAs, you get these like super high polished CG trailers that cost
and we hate trailers here. I hate that stuff. You know what I mean?
And that stuff's great.
Whenever people do big marketing things, it just washes right over
you
me.
Love those big moments. No, and that was like when we were a big TV show. The executives at the network would just be dazzled by the CG stuff that we do. But there was something charming, I think, about the Nintendo presentation, because it was just Miyamoto and Enuma like having a conversation.
I mean, really anybody just having the controller in their hand,
exactly.
And showing like this is there's no smoke and mirrors here.
Right.
This is literally like the system I'm holding is connected to this television, is running this game.
Yeah, and it was obviously very early in development what they showed, but it was just a slice of the game, and yeah, that came together super last minute, but was an amazing moment inside of the show. And that's like when you do award shows like that, they're these really high pressure projects, because everything comes down to like the final, week. And you think you have a great show one day, and then you don't the next day, and then someone like oh, Trey Parker's coming, maybe he's not. Oh, he is coming, and it's like Kiefer Sutherland's flight's like delayed from LA. Is he going to make it in time? And there's sort of all these things that are sort of like compiling on top. And then this trailer was going to come in, and we had one major game that like dropped out last 3 or 4 days before the show, which was like just they didn't want to show it for a variety of reasons, so like that got canceled. And it's like all that stuff happens in this pressure cooker environment, and you don't really know if it's going to come together until probably like a day or two before the show. And I remember even the night before, there were things I'm like, is this really going to happen? And then last year was just this magical alchemy where sort of everything aligned and like the right talent came in. We got really cool games. It felt like everything came together, and it was, obviously it was really important for me that it worked because it was sort of my ass was on the line last year, and I'm just really grateful that it all came together like that. But now, for the next year, you always have the challenge of how do you top yourself? How do you make it different? Because there were a lot of special moments in that show, which, like whenever I watch the Koji Kondo Imagine Dragons performance, I'm just like, it just like blows me away every time I see it. I'm like, I'm so proud of what that is. I don't know how we're going to be able to top it, but we're going to try, Jones.
So Game Awards 2015 confirmed?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're going to do it again this year. Be in December. We'll start talking more about it, I think. I would think probably in the next, probably 6 to 8 weeks and leading into E3 a little bit about what we're going to do. But yeah, it's going to be back, and, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. Like, I really liked what we did last year. We're going to have more time. Obviously have a lot of great game reveals. My hope is we're going to have the awards be a little bit more of a focus. I think we probably had too many games last year that we showed off, and I'd rather have, like, even now we have 3 or 4 big games already locked in that I'm really excited about. So I want to have maybe like 8 like really true blockbuster titles, maybe a cool indie title, and then a little bit more on the awards side. So we'll see, but it's tough because here you are, like, I don't know, like 8 months out, and you're like, well, I don't really, hopefully it's all going to work out, and you have all these grand plans and aspirations, and then you get, a month out, and it just happens. So yeah, we're definitely going to do it, and we hope you're going to come back for year 2.
Oh man, I'm there. That was a fun party. That was a really good time.
Is Bossman going to come this year?
I don't know. Bossman, you down?
I didn't get an invite.
That's besides the point, Kyle. That's semantics, Kyle. Answer the damn question.
You're invited right here. We're going to invite you live, Bossman.
All right, cool.
You and Buttons can hit the red carpet.
I'll come deadly with buttons. Yeah.
Oh, geez, man, don't. Oh no, man, that's gonna go to his head, Geoff. Now he's going. Oh man, we're not gonna hear the end of it. Oh,
You and
God.
Buttons can present.
Oh,
A
it's
lot of
just
people
that.
call for Kyle Bossman to present
God,
at the
He's
show.
gonna send me an email now. I'm not gonna hear the end of this.
That's okay.
So we're gonna get talking to this game. But before we do, I'm
Yeah.
just kind of curious to pick your brain because we were talked about the history that we had on Spike, the GGTV for a
absolutely.
super long time.
Yep.
Actually, every time that the year popped up that we did, what, 7 years, 8 years? How long did we do that
Yeah,
show?
well, it started with, originally I did a thing called Gamehead on Spike that was started in 2000, I want to say 2005.
First episode of Gamehead premiered the day I landed in New York City to talk to MTV about being acquired by Viacom.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep.
Oh, I think I remember hearing that story. You guys
The
you guys were in the hotel room.
stars
or something.
aligned, yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly. So I think that happened in 2005. I did like 2 years of that, and then it got blended into Game Trailers TV, and I don't know, it was probably in like 2007 or 8 maybe, and then 2008 through 2014.
So you mentioned how it's important that we have the Game Awards. It's important that E3 is as big as it is. It wasn't for a while. E3 kind of went away, and now it's back to its former glory.
Yeah.
We have this great award show that I personally think is better than any VGAs that was ever produced.
Thank you.
But it's interesting. Every time an E3 is over, I tune into regular mainstream media, and it's like video games just don't exist. And like G4 is not around anymore. GTTV isn't around anymore. Like, do you think we need to have a games network or gaming television shows, or is that just kind of
what I would say is that I think the nature of television has changed so much, right? I mean, when we started doing Gamehead in 2005, it was like standard definition, and like people be like, oh, it's like the games actually on my TV look like they do when I play them, and the internet, like you were watching little postage stamp videos, and GT was the leader, I think, in trying to do better quality video. But when we went to HD, for a long time, like the only way to see HD video games, pre-Twitch, even YouTube HD was like watching them on your television. And now, like with the Game Awards, I found like I the day after the show, I went on Instagram and just looked for like photos of people, what they thought of the show, and like I was amazed because as I scrolled through Instagram, everyone that was watching the show would take like a selfie of them or just like them watching. Like everyone's watching it on their TV, but they were watching it through like their Xbox on Twitch, or they were watching it through AirPlay and things like that. So I'm like, the show it's on television, like it's right there. It's on TV. It's just not on traditional linear cable television.
you could be on television right now?
Exactly. Yes, right there. And so what it made me realize was that the traditional kind of cable distribution for a video game show, I don't think that's really ever gonna come back, and it doesn't need to, because this audience is probably one of the most progressive audiences in terms of adapting new technologies. Finding things on digital platforms. So what I'm excited about now is like thinking of, the idea of these like weekly shows or these live shows and, putting them on, digital platforms. So like Twitch, is huge. YouTube is doing a big push into live, it sounds like. And, you know, when I like Xbox, I put the Sling TV. I downloaded that a couple weeks ago, and like you know, you have traditional TV, and then you have like Maker Studios has a channel, and it's like eventually you're going to have all these networks, and you know, you're going to be able to get video game television on your television. It's just not going to be through a traditional cable platform. So I think it's actually going to come back now because, you know, the thing that always happened at Spike when this would happen at E3 every year, where people would be like, why aren't you airing, you know, the Sony press conference? Why do you have Dodgeball, the movie, you know, running or whatever? And it's like, it's basic math that, like, you know, way more people will watch a re-air of Dodgeball than watch the Sony press conference on TV. And that's, you know, nothing against us as gamers. There's just not enough of us that are going to tune into that. So if you're
it's not a terrible film, you know. Ben Stiller holds his own. But it's funny, you were streaming on your phone before we started this stream here. It was like Inception, you know, like the stream within a stream within a stream.
Yeah,
so.
no, I mean, the live, like the Periscope Meerkat stuff is fun. And yeah, it's just like the barriers to entry are nothing now, right? And then like look at Twitch, look at, you know, all these, you know, Xbox. You can just stream your game. I remember, you know, when GT first started, it's like, how do we capture a game? Like, it's these huge kits of like suitcases of quarters. So like, just try and capture an Xbox 360 in HD.
Right.
Now you got, you know, it's just hook into your computer basically, and you can record it. So the barriers to entry have been really reduced, and I think. So to answer your original question about like where does video game TV go, I think it goes online, it goes on the consoles. You know, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about kind of, you know, what does that show look like? Because I do think, you know, there's an opportunity there that, like, yeah, with, you know, XPlay, GTTV, all these things not around anymore. It's like, but there's nothing that has really replaced it. And, you know, I do believe that there's an opportunity to create something really fun and interesting for this audience. And it's great that influencers can do stuff, but, you know, what you guys do here, what I do, it's like, I think people like to see professional stuff that really takes you sort of behind the scenes with the game. So yeah, I think it'll still exist. It's just going to change format.
That's why we had you on, Geoff. We wanted this to be as professional as possible.
Yeah,
that
well,
was the
thank
goal.
you, Jones.
So
we
we
just want to hear the voice of GT.
Yeah, you know.
Close my eyes.
It's a different voice. When I'm on the show, I think it's a different voice. When I get
different voice?
When I get alone, yeah, it's because you read something. You know, you talk in a conversational tone, a little higher, you know, a little snarkier. But when you actually when somebody like writes, and I'm kind of like living through somebody else's brain, it's like so much easier to like be more professional and be focused and like really collect your thoughts, you know.
Voice of GT.
But it's weird. I remember I was hanging out with Mikey Newman one time at Comic-Con, and he was like, do the voice. And I'm like, I need a sheet. I can't just do it.
Well, sometimes people run into me, and they're like, oh, you're the voice of GT. And I'm like, no, it's not me.
For years, man. Yeah. I just gave up. I just finally decided to get that. I'm like, yeah, fine. You know, there are worse people to be compared to, Geoff. I'll be honest.
Thank you.
So we got, so behind you we got Forza Horizon 2, the Fast and Furious, which launched yesterday. When did this launch, Blood?
Friday or
Last Friday.
Yeah, I think it was last week. Yeah.
So
free
for now.
Yeah.
I think it is paid in a week or two, but you can get it free for now. So what do we got here, Blood? So I think the car's going off road. So we got the cars. Obviously, they're really playing two cars. I mean, like if you really dig deep into the trailers, you can see more cars. But for a lot of the TV spots, so we had this car here. But I saw that the black car you in earlier was the one I see mostly in a lot of the trailers.
Right. Yeah, it's a starter car, and so it looks like the whole thing with this, which I mean, I kind of consider it a demo from the way it seems. It's like it's introducing you to everything about Forza Horizon 2. I did a barn find just a minute ago, which is where I got this Roadrunner, and then before that, I did one of like a showcase event where I was like racing a military attack chopper. And I was in a Jeep. I don't know how I won that race. I'm pretty sure there's some rubber banding in my favor on that one. But
military attack chopper seems like a Furious 7 kind of thing. Have you seen the movie yet?
I haven't. No, the premiere's actually tonight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was gonna go check it out. But I'm here. GT
Right,
Live.
I
Major
appreciate it.
Nelson is there live at the premiere. But yeah, everything I've heard is that the movie's pretty fun and it's, you know, over the top glory. And I think this is this is cool that they did this. You know, because the thing that, you know, I'm a guy that loves action racing games. Like, I'm not a huge Forza guy normally, right? Like the simulation, GT, Forza, like, I think I appreciate what they are. It's just, you know, I'm a Burnout guy, right? And it's like I miss Burnout every day, basically, that there's not a Burnout. And it's like the fact that this is, you know, it's not quite that, but it's like the more action racing that can get out there, the better. And yeah, I miss those really insane action racing games.
Where did Burnout go? We were playing that on the GameCube the other day. Holds up.
Oh, but
the
yeah,
crash
Burnout.
mode. It's like I want to stream
yeah.
just this mode for a whole hour. It's fantastic.
Burnout and that game, and I was talking to someone about this, a New Yorker writer a couple weeks ago, because he's doing a piece on the Guilford and like Hello Games, a lot of those studios out there. And like there's something magical about like Criterion and the way like Burnout and Black and just how they felt, because Burnout, those moments where you're like, I should be crashing right now, but somehow I'm going in between traffic. Like you felt like a real badass. And yeah, I mean, like action racing now, it's like you get it in, the GTAs sort of and things like that. But yeah, I miss Burnout. And there's Criterion. I think that EA showed a thing last year that they were working on, which felt like this sort of big action adventure game, which had racing in it, but I think it had like paragliding and shit like that.
Racing actually turned out to be my favorite thing to do in Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Because it was so carefree, because when anything I would do that I would expend bullets, I'd have to buy those bullets back. But it's just like getting in a race was so easy, and the races, they actually, once they added the custom mods to Grand Theft Auto Online, the races you could do were pretty crazy. They'd add ramps off of freeways and stuff.
Yeah, so that's where action racing has gone. But no, this is, I mean, it's cool that they, I'm a big fan of something like this just coming out for free, right? And the fact that like there's just such a lack of content, I feel like, on some of the consoles. Like I go to Steam and there's like, every week I'm like, I didn't know all these games came out. You go to Xbox or PlayStation, it's like maybe there's 1 or 2 new things a week or whatever. Yeah. But something like this is a free download is, it looks kind of fun. I haven't played it yet.
It seems like a win for both parties. It brings relevance back to Forza Horizon 2, which performed pretty well. Sales were good, reviews were good, but it is not something that's necessarily on everybody's radar like this week.
No, it's a great timing for the movie, which is going to be huge. As you said, like it's a pretty solid racing game that they're basing on. So like in the past, these licensed games would come from Activision's Value division or something. It just wouldn't be a good game. You're starting with a pretty good base with this. So yeah, it's cool.
So I don't know if you can see it over there. We got a fish tank over there. We filled it with water, and we put Mr. Ian Hink over there, who's on our TriCaster. Ian, how are you doing? I see you were having some potential issues with your camera over there earlier, but I see you got your camera working. We got Ben Moore in the back there who's taking questions. Want to remind everybody that if you ask a darn good question, we have 3 codes for Unmechanical Extended that we will be handing out at the very end of the show for the 3 best questions. But
this guy's watching the show on his television as we speak.
Oh, nice! It sent you a picture. Nice, good social reaction, Keighley. I like that. Ian, are you a fan of racing games?
Not really. I like Race the Sun a lot, stuff like that. But that's not really a racing game.
It's a racing game. It's got racing in the title.
It's in the
You don't dare put racing in the title and then not call yourself a racing game.
True.
That's it? That's all you got?
I like Twisted Metal back in the day. Twisted Metal 2, Twisted Metal Black.
There's another, okay, so Keighley, you could choose Burnout or Twisted Metal to make a comeback. Twisted Metal did make a comeback, and that
I would
didn't
say,
really
I
work.
would say Burnout. I mean, Twisted Metal was fun, but I think there's something about Burnout and just that feel, which is just like action movie, and I think where that can go in like crash mode, where that could go today, as physics and stuff have really improved. I mean, that could just be what
happened?
Wreckfest, remember next car game, Wreckfest?
Oh yeah, the Flat Out, the successor to Flat Out. Flat Out, I loved, man.
Flat Out. Exactly, it's like
Flat Out was really great.
All that stuff. Like when I was growing up, it was like I loved Test Drive and things like that. And it was just like there's something about action racing that I think is sort of missing right now. And I think what you could do with physics and simulations, like there's that cool. I forget the name of it, but on Steam, it's that one which is sort of that medieval kind of game where you like. What is it? I forget.
Chivalry?
What?
You talking about Chivalry?
No. It's one where it's sort of this like it's sort of like a crash mode. It's like a simulation.
Medieval racing game. I like that.
No, it's not. Well, but you can create a vehicle, but it's basically causing all this destruction
Besiege?
in these environments. Someone will tell me.
Is it Besiege?
Maybe it's Seed. Yeah, Besiege.
Besiege?
Like yeah, exactly. Yeah. So but that's like one of those ones. Just like it's all about physics and simulation,
right?
And just causing wanton destruction. So, anyways, check it out.
Yeah, and it's good for demos. It's good for
I gotta check out what I think it's called. Besiege.
All right, well you can look that up. I got another racing game I want to throw at you.
All right.
Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
Classic, known most prominently on the Sega Dreamcast, which effortlessly segues into our next segment.
Okay.
Which is
here it's called Besiege. How to make a catapult. Besiege.
Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, good.
Check it out. Besiege.
Well, there you go. Check that game out. So we do a segment. A wild Bradley Ellis appears to help us with this segment.
Okay.
We do a segment that we call Number 11, Geoff, which is our tribute to the poor game that did not make our top 10 countdown for the week.
The coveted GT top 10 list.
Coveted now.
GT.
Can I quote you on that?
GT. I mean,
I'm gonna put that at the beginning of the show.
Most people, though, I mean, if you've been a long-time GT fan, the top 10 list.
right?
Huge part of GT.
It's tough. You can't make everybody happy, and that's kind of what this is about. We want to address
You
people.
have to have the Rich one, number 10.
Yeah, exactly.
You still
Oh,
use
yeah,
the number,
oh,
you still use those VOs?
Rich isn't with us anymore, unfortunately.
Can't use his VO anymore?
Can't use any. He's a big guy. He's in video games now. He's a big band, and he's Rich has moved on to greener pastures.
Number 10.
Yeah, that's a good impression. Hey, I'll send you the list, Jeff. You can just do it on your own. So our countdown for this Friday is the top 10 Dreamcast games.
Yes. And
we like to give tribute to the game that didn't make the list.
Okay.
Mr. Brad Ellis is here to
What
talk
was
about
the top Dreamcast game? Because I haven't seen the video.
which is going up Friday.
Oh, okay.
So you can't divulge.
You could reveal it to
Well, most people trust you with NDAs, Jeff. So I'll tell you after the camera stopped rolling. I'll let you know. I'll tell you what number 1 was. I don't know if you watch enough of our streams, you could probably guess what number 1 was. But Mr. Brad Ellis is here to talk about.
C-Man.
Yeah, exactly. C-Man.
Right there.
Number 11, Jet Grind Radio.
Jet Grind Radio. Special little game, really cool, unique feel to it. So it's pretty much a cell-shaded Dreamcast game, kind of like a mix between Tony Hawk and, do you remember that game, Mark Echo?
Oh, yeah.
Under Pressure. It's kind of like that, skate around like a Tokyo, called Tokyo 2, T-O. Skate around, spraying graffiti, fighting against other gangs while also being chased from the cops. And it just has a really great vibe that really is like when I think of a Dreamcast game, I think of like a game with that kind of vibe to it.
So what encompasses a Dreamcast game? Is it really the controls that kind of gelled?
Not the
what was
controls
the thing
of
in the
that.
middle? What do they call it in the middle? The
Oh,
little
the,
memory card
VMU?
screen thing?
Yeah, the VMU, yeah.
Was there like some wicked VMU support?
No, nothing really in that, but it's a really simple game. It has some problems to it. That's probably why I didn't make our top 10, but I still think it's a really fun game.
And there was a sequel to Jet Grind, right?
Yeah, Jet Set Grind Future, I think it was called. I
Okay.
think it was on Xbox.
So why don't we get a third one? Why do you think?
Probably not enough people
What do you
played
think
it
the
or
series?
liked it.
It was just super niche.
Yeah, I think it was a really niche series, but I wish more people play it. It's really fun.
Did it only live on the Dreamcast? Are you a fan of this game, Jeff? Did you ever
Yeah,
give this a
yeah.
try?
I mean, that was a game that I think the art style just like really was like it was fresh and different. It sort of reminded you of like Dreamcast. Dreamcast actually, I mean, why people love it is that there were a lot of like really just cool artistic games that were coming out in the Dreamcast era. And yeah, I did like that game. I mean, it was when I saw Sunset Overdrive from Insomniac, it reminded me a lot, inspired sort of by some of the mechanics of that game and the rails and things like that and the art style. But yeah, I would know it was a respected game back in the day. People liked it. I mean, Dreamcast was a top 10 list of Dreamcast games is tough because I mean Dreamcast had a lot of really cool stuff for a platform that only really survived maybe 3 years. I mean, it was around longer, but I mean, games were like it had a great year 1, year 2, and then after that, it was pretty much over.
We are pissing people off, man. Rick'em Robo's not happy.
Why not?
Wolf Fox isn't happy. They're not happy that Jet Grind
I fought for it.
didn't make the cut.
I tried.
Sorry.
Machine and Souls doing a shout out to Space Channel 5. Of course, we talked about Seaman earlier. But yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of SSX. I'm actually kind of ashamed that I never gave this a try.
I think I would have liked it, yeah.
But there's just something about, I don't know, there's just something about like landing correctly. Like, did it have, was it easier to control than Tony Hawk? Because that was why I didn't play a lot of Tony Hawk, because I just couldn't, Jet Grind compared to Tony Hawk.
Absolutely not.
Because I could not land at Tony Hawk. Like, the board was always going the wrong way. So it was a little more lenient, because you're on rollerblades, right?
Yeah, well, I was playing it today, and it felt like it was actually pretty hard to control. It took me a while to get used to that game. I was like, ugh, this doesn't feel as good as I remember it, but still really a special game to me.
So are you upset? See, the thing is, I gotta be honest. This is the 4th episode of GT Live, and these number 11s. I'm not getting anger. I'm not getting a frustration.
There's so many good games.
I mean, look at
on
this
Dreamcast.
chat, man. People are losing their mind in chat right now. That Jet Grind Radio.
We talked about
what
this.
10 games could possibly.
We
be
talked
better
about
than
this
game.
for a long time, though. People did get really mad, but I think the dust has just kind of settled on, like, especially with Huber in there. You know how he gets, but I think we're all okay with it now. I'm a little bummed on it, but not
A little
too hard.
bummed.
I was more bummed during it, but I've calmed down from it.
So you're okay with the other games we gave? There's still
so
10.
many good games.
There's still 10 really
So many
good
good
games.
games.
Dreamcast games. So anything else before we move on to the next segment that you want to talk about? Just with Jet Grind, do you think is there other franchises that have that style? So it's interesting that you have
What else is?
franchises now that can still pull off that style, even though obviously we're like 2 generations.
Yeah,
past.
no, exactly. That's sort of, I don't know how it was sort of cell shaded, but had sort of a graffiti sort of vibe to it. And yeah, no, I think there were a lot of Dreamcast games that experimented with different art styles, and yeah, there've obviously been big sort of cell shaded games. I mean, certainly Borderlands is that had a change in art direction, but then it moved more sort of cell shaded. which is a signature of that series, right? That's probably the most popular sort of franchise that has a look, kind of like that. But yeah, I mean, there was a time where there were more cel-shaded games. And I think, I miss some of those, just like different art styles, right? That's where, like, I think the indie scene, there's a lot of really cool games that experiment with art styles in the indie scene more than sort of mainstream games. That's why, like, an indie game, often you look at it, it's like, well, that just looks like beautiful. Like, I've never seen anything like that, right? And the art direction is insane. And that's why I think, like, the Jet Grind, like, that had a style, which was really sort of unique to itself. And, you look at, like, Platinum Games was, a long time known for, like, really stylized stuff, right? Like, whatever PG would do would just be sort of like, whether it's Beautiful Joe or something else, just would be, like, radically different each game they did. But, a lot of studios, it's like, looks the same, right? It's like,
Right.
Oh, it's another first-person shooter on the Unreal Engine. It's sort of, you know what to expect. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of when people experiment with art style, and, Jet Grind certainly did.
So hopefully we don't have people being too upset by the picks that we've done.
You can change it. It's not too late. Video hasn't posted
It's
yet.
too
right?
late.
Oh,
We
too
pick
late.
the list,
All
man.
right.
get upset.
We pick it on Monday. There's no looking back, man. So we are GameTrailers.com, and of course we have trailers. And I got a trailer that I want to show you guys. Man, Call of Duty, they like to make good trailers, don't they? They really.
make
I mean,
great
there's
trailers.
no.
Yeah.
Some trailers are better than others, but they never do not spend a ton of money on their trailers. And they came out with a trailer this week that just blows my mind, man. So this is the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare Exo Zombies Infection Part 2 trailer. This is the part 2 of the zombies, the Exo Zombies mode. That is not only, so you'd think that the Exo Zombies would just be the expansion. It's within the expansion that's coming to Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's what with Malkovich and.
Right, yeah. How did they get Malkovich for this, man? It's just nuts. So we like for you guys to check out a badass trailer, and here it is: Call of Duty Advanced Warfare Exo Zombies Infection trailer. Check it out. We are back. Bloodwood just informed me that he is 30% of the way through the campaign. I'm just wondering, Blood. We normally end this at 7 p.m. Should we just keep going?
Marathon it.
Should we just keep Keighley here until you just get through? Is this full playthrough Wednesday?
Nah, it'll be all right.
You're not feeling it? So, Mr. Kyle Bosman, if you haven't noticed, has joined me on the stage.
The final Bossman. He's approaching his 100th episode.
Oh, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Keely's got the news, man.
I count.
Keely's
he's got the
breaking
scoops.
headlines left and right. There it is.
You're at 95 now?
Yeah, next week will be 95.
Remember when that all started back for the PlayStation PS4 reveal?
Oh,
Yeah.
Bossman did his first ever. I don't know if it was even called Final. It was Final Bossman, I think, because you had the
No, it was just called Do's and Don'ts.
Do's and Don'ts. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
When Kyle passed me in Twitter followers, it was a dark, dark day. I looked at myself long and hard in the
That
mirror.
was what, two years ago?
Yeah,
right?
I don't think everybody knows that. That was just Keighley came into the room and said, "Hey, we need this PlayStation event is coming up. It's going to be huge. We need videos."
Yeah.
And that was one of the
So
big.
you have Geoff Keighley to thank for everything,
No,
Kyle?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Well, I'm
Well,
so glad for
I said
the two
we
of
should.
you
I think
got
I said
together.
we should do a do's and don'ts, and I asked if anyone wanted to do it, and then Kyle was like, "Oh, I have some ideas or whatever." And it's like,
Yeah.
here are a bunch of things. So I was like, I said, "Well, why don't you just do this?"
Yeah.
And then it was. I think was it your first time on camera or one of the first?
Oh
right?
yeah, it was my
Yeah.
first video on game
Yeah.
trailers.
And
You wore a
that's
suit for that first one.
Yeah.
Are you upset you wore a suit?
No, not at all.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, that was a good call.
No, that was fun. No, yeah, that's what when we saw it because it was like I think everyone in the office was like didn't really know what was Kyle gonna do. Could he pull it off? And when we saw it, it's like this
Yeah.
is like incredible. And then it was a great year because then he did for Xbox, he did for E3, and like it just and then it ultimately became Final Boss. And I think it was almost immediately after that you did another one, right? Because then
Yeah.
you did a reaction one.
Did
I
a
think,
reaction
to it.
one.
Exactly,
Yeah.
And then look at this,
Yeah.
2 years later.
We've been trying to get him to stop, but he just keeps making episodes. So we brought Kyle up because for this time in the GT Live, we do an editorial segment.
Right.
And Kyle offered to talk about the Nintendo Direct that happened earlier
Yeah.
today.
That's right. 3
that-
p.m. Pacific on April 1st.
Right.
Everybody's buzzing about. Yeah, April Fools. I don't know, a good day to do really anything. But
Except this. Right?
except this, yeah. So what do you think? If you give it a grade, let's start off there.
So it's tough. It's like a Forza Horizon Fast and Furious thing, in that this was free. They didn't have to do this, right? So it's hard to give them a grade.
Although they talked
but
about a lot of stuff that wasn't free, Kyle.
if you consider the best Nintendo Direct an A+, this is a C.
Ooh. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the official title of this editorial
And what is the best
segment is
Nintendo Direct?
The
The
Good,
best
the
one
Bad,
was-
and the Amiibo.
It was January 2 years ago. It was very good, and like lots of announcements.
Oh, that's right.
They
Yeah, I
blew it
guess
up.
they had like Smash stuff and like I remember
Yeah, that was the best.
That
was
was
A+.
after I think Reggie did the Cranky Kong thing at VGX, and then I was like, where was it? It's like disappointed. And then then the direct came out. I think it might have even been like late December or something.
Can we talk about that now that we have you here?
Yeah.
When did you learn it's going to be Cranky Kong?
Well, there were a lot of conversations in the days leading in about what was going to happen, and then that it leaked in Europe about the Cranky Kong thing.
Yeah.
And, we were obviously hoping they were going to have more stuff to share as part of that, but that was. I give it to Reggie that he came up, live on stage and like knowing that that's what he had to announce.
He was like walking into a firing squad. He like knew what was coming. He's saying.
Yeah,
It's
well,
so
no,
funny.
I mean, that was because I remember we filmed the thing on GTTV. There was like an episode with Reggie that we had done with him up at the office, and then we teased, "Oh, you're gonna be coming to VGX this year." He's like, "Oh, we got great news for the fans or whatever," and then it sort of perpetuated a lot of hype around it. And I was not happy about how that all played out. But hey, to Nintendo's credit, then they came back last year in a big way.
Huge, right?
And did some great stuff. And that's like sometimes it's tough when knowing and working with a lot of these companies. It's like it's tough because sometimes it's like the news is the news. That's all you have, and it's like this Nintendo Direct. It's like that's the package of news that they had right now to share, and everything can't be an A+.
And it is news. I mean, like today Nintendo came out and told us everything we didn't know. All of this was stuff that we didn't know before. So it's fun to grade.
Right.
It's funny that we have such high expectations, but we count on you for that, Kyle. So
Yeah.
So what was good? What was bad? And what was Amiibo?
Okay, so the good stuff. Let's start off with the good. That A+ Direct announced Shin Megami Tensei versus Cross Fire Emblem. And then we heard nothing for 2 years. Right. And today we saw it.
Oh my God.
And it's huge. What's funny is we watched this whole trailer. I guess this is a part of the fun of like watching it live. We didn't know what it was till the end. Right. And then they said, well, we announced a long time ago that was Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, and we're like, wait, what? That's what that was? It's crazy. It's a legit RPG. It's like high budget. It's very interesting looking. Damiani said it was a little too sexualized, so maybe it's a little crazy on that end. But it's hard to get Damiani to say that. So you're overboard if Damiani's saying that about your game. You've gone overboard.
Do you think saving the title for the end was a good idea?
Yes, absolutely. That's part of the fun of watching a live thing, It's just like we're all watching this for the first time. This game has been in secrecy for 2 years, barely ever spoken.
Theatrics of it.
Yeah, and so that was cool. That was the good. The bad.
Yes.
Nintendo's doing some crazy DLC stuff. The crazy like microtransactions. So there's a game called Pokemon Rumble World. Pokemon Rumble, by the way, is the worst game with Pokemon in the title. It's very bad. It is mash one button to win. So they announced like, hey, in our popular Pokemon Rumble series, we got a new game coming, and this one has microtransactions. Like it's like the worst kind. It's the Candy Crush kind, where you get like a certain amount of attempts, and then you can buy more attempts with more crystals. It is that. And so that's just bad. That's like, don't even announce it. Just put it out, but like, don't pretend this is an announcement. So that was very frustrating. There's a VIP room on your 3DS, like the Miiverse, like when people walk in, you can now get a VIP room. You pay $5 for that VIP room.
And what can you do in the VIP room?
You can store your friends in there. So let's say I street pass with Geoff today. Like after a month, you're gonna like get way up there. I'll never see your amiibo. You're always see me again. Yeah. So now I can like store you in my VIP room up to 100 people, and then I'll never lose track of you.
Right.
$5.
I wonder if someone
$5 for that.
I wonder if you were to do that, and then the next time you street pass Geoff finds out that he's your VIP. I wonder if
wouldn't that
you
feel
actually
special?
say that.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
one of your 100, Kyle.
you're VIP.
I'm one of your 100. Yeah. You can also keep track of birthdays. I should say that. So
Okay.
for the $5,
very, very important.
You can also keep track of birthdays.
Well worth it. Will you be purchasing that?
No. That I refuse to purchase.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Not gonna get your $5
Some things
in
I
the
draw
eShop.
a line on. Yeah. I'll draw. They'll get plenty of money from me. Other things. Okay. Let's talk about the amiibo.
Yeah. The
Lots of-
yarn Yoshi looks so. It's like a little plushie, right?
So that's my highlight. Yeah, it is. It's like a little like Beanie Baby, like actual out of yarn, and it's got an amiibo in the butt.
Yeah.
So like it's just the same. You just also put it on your gamepad. Yeah. But it's a
4
a
times.
plushie.
You have to hit it 4 times.
Yeah, this is the process.
Yeah, that looked amazing. No, I think some of the amiibo they showed, like the Dr. Mario. I mean, it's just like they're doing some cute stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, one of the things you can do with Amiibo now that is actually a kind of cool thing is you get to like preview Nintendo games. Basically, you put your Amiibo on the thing. It's a new app. It's called Greatest Bits, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And basically, you put your Amiibo on there, and randomly it selects like a Nintendo or Super Nintendo game for you to play just like 2 minutes of.
Oh wow.
And it's very cool. And you know, it's just like, I was talking to Huber about it. Like, if you're a 6-year-old, if you just got this amiibo, you've obviously never played Super Nintendo games, so you put your amiibo on it and you get to play Super Mario World.
Right.
Like, I think that's kind of cool. That's a cool thing to do with
Well,
amiibo.
especially with the amiibo, because I feel like, you know, they're really cool collector's items, but right now, I don't know about you guys, but like using them in the game, it was always sort of strange how you use them in Smash.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, it didn't make a lot of sense. And now it feels like they're sort of adding more, you know, game around the amiibo. But did you buy any, or do you use them at all?
Bought 0 amiibo still.
Yeah, I don't have any amiibo either. Yeah, I mean, they're beautiful, but I never saw like if you're a collector, I'm sure they look great on your shelf, but actually, like, you know, that Smash thing where it's like they, you know, power up the character, and or you'd have
Mario Party 10, the mode's a nightmare. You know,
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
I
it's like the
actually
least fun part of the game.
I was gonna say, because I haven't played Mario. That just came out, right? Mario
Yeah.
Party 10, and so that has amiibo in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's the one last thing they announced. Amiibo cards. Just like playing cards you can buy.
With a chip in it?
And they got a chip in those.
Yeah.
The first game that uses amiibo cards is a game called Animal Crossing. What is it called?
Something Home Designer. Happy Home
Home Designer. Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. The way Bill Trinan advertised this game is, imagine how fun Animal Crossing would be without all the chores. Like, he knows better than that. He knows that Animal Crossing is fun because of the chores. But even that word came out of his mouth. Yeah, this is this is that game. It's basically, you're in a little house and you're a designer, and the card you scan in is a new little person who comes in and says, I like this kind of thing in my house. And so then you're like, okay, well, I'll put this in this. How do you like it? And then you can slide in more cards, and those people can come in and admire your design.
So if you don't have the cards, there's no game.
There's no game if you don't have the cards.
Right.
Yeah.
Have they said like what cards are coming with the game? Great.
$5 a card.
It's kind of important.
Yeah.
And they just showed like 4, I think, right?
Right.
But it just had like 4 on screen.
It's a cool thing to, I mean, you don't have to make that $15 commitment if you're just buying like a card, you know? And so like they're showing the flexibility of Amiibo.
I wonder if like on the eShop or somewhere you get like little card stands or something.
That's
They'll
cool,
have
yeah.
something you can like put them on. Because how do you display that? You know,
You don't display. They're just cards. You don't display them.
Well, it's like, what's their name? What's the?
Well, it's like when people used to collect like baseball cards. You put them
Yeah.
in like those plastic sheets or
Right.
something, and like you might have a rare amiibo card.
Oh my god!
Like, what's
they're gonna
what's
have
the lady
rare
that
Amiibo
helps you in the
cards.
last
Yeah,
latest
piece of
Animal
bubble
Crossing?
gum with them?
Blood. Who's the lady that works in the mayor's house that helps you in Animal Crossing?
That's Isabel.
Isabel. So they had
Yes.
an Isabel card, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming we're never getting an Isabel amiibo, right?
No, we're gonna get an Isabel Amiibo.
Yeah?
Count on it.
On the Animal Crossing Mario Kart DLC?
She is. You can play as Isabel in Mario Kart 8.
Oh, okay,
at
good.
the end of this month.
Excellent clarification. Thank you.
You guys know all your Isabel trivia. You guys are very up on Isabel.
Isabel's one of the greatest. She's one of the
Really?
greats.
Why do you like
Absolutely.
Isabel so much?
Isabel. So the hardest part about Animal Crossing
Yeah.
is caring.
Yeah,
Isabel cares.
yeah.
So you're in this world of like nothing matters. You got to do chores all day, and here's this one person who cares deeply about you and your decisions
Right.
and this town.
Oh wow.
And so that's what makes her.
So you have a
great.
real connection to her.
Yeah.
They're close.
Exactly.
Go on. How does that make you feel, Kyle?
Exactly.
Oh, this is fantastic! I can't wait.
Do you
to
sometimes visit like, when you're down? You just go find Elizabeth.
Just go
Who cares
talk to
about
her.
you? Had a bad day at the office. You're like, let me see what Isabel. How is Isabel doing?
I had my file deleted of Animal Crossing,
Uh-huh.
and like I find solace in knowing that Isabel is there taking care of my town without me.
You're right.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All by herself, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not happy with me right now. 3DS is just stowed away. Now, for the best part of the editorial segment, the part where we ask Kyle to get the hell off the stage. Thank you, Kyle.
Kyle.
Let's
Boston,
check back in on the
great to see you.
streaming couch one last time.
Yeah, it's time.
What percentage are you at now? Do you know? Blood?
The last I saw was 36. It looks like the bucket
He's not gonna make it by the
challenges-
end of the show.
The bucket list challenges don't count towards the percentage, so that's a little extra on there. I went back to the starter car for this event. But yeah, it looks like you're just basically running around doing events to unlock all 11 cars.
What do you think, Blood? I mean, free is free. You know, it's hard to not to recommend something that's free. But is this something? Because you were a fan of the Forza series. I think you're looking more forward to the next Forza Motorsport than Forza Horizon.
Oh
but
no, I'm more in the Horizon camp.
I'm completely wrong.
So
So, do you think, if I did not force you to play this on GT Live, do you think this is something you would have picked up and checked out?
I would have wished I had checked it out. But I've also downloaded that Storm Island DLC that they put out a while back. I haven't touched that thing yet, and that was months ago. So it's really hard for me to actually find time for racing games when I'm not actively working on them. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, I think this is a good introduction to the series. So like I said, I think that's kind of the biggest pull for it to be. So it's weird to me that they will be charging people in a couple of weeks for it, because it feels more along that lines of yeah, this is a good demo, it's a good taste of what Forza Horizon 2 has to offer.
So get it now. I mean, I could see people, it's getting good reviews. I hear Vin Diesel said he's expecting to see this film at the Academy Awards.
I saw that, yeah.
So I could see people just walking out, going to see
for
it,
best visual effects.
going to see, right, of course, going to see it tomorrow and running home and picking up the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap things up, hopefully you guys have some good questions. We're going to be giving away 3 codes for Unmechanical Extended, which is a adorable indie game where you're a little robot flying around a Metroidvania style environment.
What platform?
I believe just Steam, right?
Xbox One.
Xbox One.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm getting everything right on GT
God
Live
damn.
today. I've clearly
Throwing
done my
off your
research.
game.
And Ben Moore was kind enough to talk to chat and pick up some good questions. How are the questions today, Ben?
Geoff, I have to say, you're a very popular person. It was very hard
stop it,
keeping
then.
track of all of the questions.
Okay, well, fire away.
Yes, I highlighted what I thought were the best ones.
Okay.
So we'll get right into it.
Excellent.
Some of these Twitch usernames are hard to pronounce, so
Right.
forgive me if I slaughter them. I have a question from WolfFox10JC. How do you feel, especially since you've worked so closely with him, about the whole Kojima-Konami mess?
Excellent.
Yeah, it's just crazy when you read some of the stuff, and all I know is sort of what's been sort of out there reported. I haven't talked to Kojima. I don't think anyone's talked to Kojima. That's part of the problem. I mean, someone said to me yesterday, we just want to see him holding up today's newspaper to prove that he's still out there, because it's like we don't know what happened. But because last time he tweeted was that he put that tweet up heading off. Mm-hmm. It's like Snake going into the chopper. So yeah, it's sad, right, to see things like someone's name taken off the box of a game and things like that, right? And maybe it's a contract dispute. You never really know. There are 2 sides to every story, as the Halo trailers tell you. But
right. Good plug there.
But exactly. But it's just maybe it's a contract dispute. Maybe there's other issues. But the fact that they would be actively trying to erase him, to me is it's kind of shocking. So I don't know who what's going on inside of that, but it's really sad to see that happening. And then Konami putting out the press release about, well, we're hiring new people, the series will continue, and he's still there, but he's leaving maybe. So yeah, I'm certainly, I'm thinking a lot about him, because I think all of us have loved his games, and he's done such amazing things for the industry for so long. Silent Hills looked really cool. Metal Gear 5 is going to be, hopefully, a crowning achievement for him. But yeah, I just hope the game doesn't suffer, and that's the thing that, and even, all of us that worked at game trailers, we've suffered through times where it's there's uncertainty, you don't know what's happening, and it's it affects your ability to really kind of power on and be excited about your work. So to think of, him, right now he must be in the throes of trying to finish this game, bug test it, get it ready, and then meanwhile it's rumors that he doesn't have internet access, and there's all this drama, and your name is literally being pulled down off the building and stuff like that. It's I just hope the game doesn't suffer, but inevitably it's going to have to somehow. So yeah, I feel bad about what's going on. He's such a legend. He's one of the few name brands in this industry. I mean, I'm sure if he wants to, he can keep creating games. So it's not like we're not going to hear from him again.
Of course. Yeah.
I just hope that the Phantom Pain really becomes the game that he wants it to become. Because I remember 3-4 years ago when he first pitched me on that game, and he had this whole thing about he was going to do Ground Zeroes and TPP, and we had that whole thing where, Moby Dick and all that. I mean, he had it all thought out, exactly how everything was going to play out, and I'm sure this was not part of his plan about what was going on inside of Konami. So yeah, I feel terrible about it, and I hope to talk to him sometime soon.
Excellent response.
Excellent response.
Excellent
I was waiting
response.
for that one. Yeah, I actually noticed we were running long in the beginning of the show. Otherwise, I would have thrown that question in.
All
Because
right,
I think
good. It all worked out.
not only do you have a history of doing lots of panels with him and getting lots of exclusives with him, but he was at the Game Awards last year. That was a really huge moment. So Metal Gear had great presence there.
I went over to Japan. It was shortly after 9/11, and did final hours of Metal Gear Solid 2, which was the first time I spent a lot of time with him in the studio. And he's just a brilliant guy, and I hope if he's not working at Konami, he'll work somewhere else. But yeah, the way that seems to be going down is again, who knows? But even the statements that Konami are putting out, I'm like, really? It's you're saying that kind of stuff about so who knows?
This is a much lighter question,
Okay.
but I just have to know. This is my own personal question.
Yes.
Favorite Metal Gear Solid? Don't put too much thought into it.
Good question. I would say probably like it was the original MGS2, I think. Where probably MGS2 was the one to me that, I remember going to E3 and seeing those trailers and like the, Snake on the tanker and just the watermelons and the sense of like just the energy in that trailer that really captured my attention. And obviously, playing it and then the head fake, obviously, like, the switch of character and things like that. Like that to me was sort of, I think, probably my favorite memory of a Metal Gear game.
Definitely. Still my favorite E3 moment.
You don't get a code ban, sorry.
Next question, shifting gears a little bit, is from Swordfish00830. With the big presence at GDC, do you think VR is really the future of gaming?
I think VR is part of the future of gaming. When people say, like, is it the future? It's like, is every game going to be experienced this way? No. I think the VR experiences that I've had that have been the most powerful have been ones that are just, completely different than what you play with a traditional controller. So, no, you're not going to be playing Grand Theft Auto in VR. There may be, an experience in the Grand Theft Auto world that you might have in VR. But yeah, I think so. I think VR is definitely going to become a thing. Like, I was never really a big fan of 3D gaming. Like, I thought that was kind of, just people trying to market like 3D to get you excited about it. There's definitely going to be cool experiences in VR, and I don't think it's just going to be games, right? I think it's going to be, other experiences, movies. Some of the most fun Valve demos. There's this one called Job Simulator where you're a chef. And you're just literally sitting there and just like making recipes, but it's just kind of fun to like throw stuff in and put it on the stove and then it boils over, and so it's just like that's a fun experience. It's sort of a game, but it's not like a first-person shooter. So I think VR will be big. I wonder, I wonder how mainstream it's going to be for a while because like Oculus and the Valve VR are amazing, but you have to have really high-powered PCs to run that stuff. And that's what's great about Morpheus is that, you can just plug it into your PS4 and experience it. So I do think it's going to be something that'll have cool experiences. I think it'll be more short session stuff in different games than what you play. But yeah, I mean, you guys have probably gone, heads on with that stuff, and it's pretty compelling.
I like that heads on.
Yeah.
We don't use that enough.
Well, speaking of the Fast and Furious integration in Forza, I see movie advertising really taking advantage of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what if you could like visit the Avengers set?
Yep.
What if you could,
and
what
live
if you'd sit
streaming.
in the passenger seat with Vin Diesel driving and go running around?
And
Like
even
that'd be
like,
really cool.
sporting events or concerts, like you're there in the front row and you can look around and experience it. So yeah, it's definitely going to become a way to experience things. And the thing that was so impressive about the Valve demos at GDC was that now they've solved the interactivity, which is something, a lot of it's passive, right? Just like a big panorama photo. Valve now, it's like you've got those controllers and you see your hands, and it's, I definitely think VR is going to be something that will take a few years, but will definitely be something that a lot of people will want to buy.
Next question. This is also from Swordfish00830. I didn't want to repeat people, but it was such a good question, and everyone thought it was a good question as well in the chat. You seem to be extremely busy.
Yeah.
How do you actually find time to play anything? Is it mostly just at events or things that you're covering?
No, it's a great question. I mean, part of the challenge when you're traveling so much, it's like I don't travel with consoles, so it's always tough because you like check in a hotel or whatever, you're like, I'd love to play this game, and it's like I'm not going to be back in LA for 10 days, so it's like I can't play it. So I tend to do a lot of my gaming now as kind of binges, like on a weekend or something. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to spend this weekend playing this game. I tend to do a lot less MP stuff. Like a lot of it's just sort of like campaigns of games. I get to play through them, have a great experience. A lot of it's word of mouth. So it's like Ori. Like people started telling me how great it was. I'm like, okay, I gotta play this. So I sort of have to fight for the time to play games. So that means I don't get to play everything. But yeah, most of the big games I really like. You just have to carve out the time to kind of go through them and experience them. And you guys know, like if you find a great game, somehow you find the time in your life to be able to do it, even if it means you're up till 3 a.m. or whatever. It's like a great game you just can't put down, and it's like as you're going to bed, you're like, oh man, when I wake up tomorrow, I'm gonna beat that boss, and I'm gonna like move on. And like you just, to me, when you find that an amazing game, you're just in that zone where it's like everything else in your world just disappears. Like all you think about is like that game, and it's like for me, like when you play like Last of Us or something, it's like all right, it's like I'm just going to keep playing this. And like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's been like 16 hours, but it's so good. So that's why like a game really has to grab me. Right. And because I'm so busy doing so many things, I don't often just sit and suffer through playing games.
What was that last game that really grabbed you and you had to binge on?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's been. I mean, Ori started to do that for me. I'm not all the way through that because it gets pretty difficult, but that had some magic to it. That's probably the first game this year. I'm trying to think towards the end of last year what the last game was. Out of all those sort of big releases, I'm trying to think what. I mean, Dragon Age grabbed me for a while. But it didn't quite hit. I mean, even though one game of the year and stuff like that, I don't think it quite hit that level. I mean, it's rare that a game really just like completely just takes you over. Like I think Batman, I hope is going to do that for me in June. I'm really psyched about that.
Yes. Now we're talking.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be big.
Question's over. We're just talking about Batman now.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, that's a game that's been they've been strangely kind of quiet about it. So I'll be curious to see. What comes, and it just moved back a couple weeks in June, so we'll see. But yeah, it's it's tough, and the indie stuff I get really excited about often with like cool indie like Ori, right? That's a game that's like an indie game. So yeah, the big blockbuster games, it's hard to like I played through Advanced Warfare and it was good, but it doesn't have that same magic where it's like Last of Us or Uncharted or GTA. I mean, those Red Dead, right? I mean, those kind of things that just are like seminal game experiences. And yeah, we'll see what the first one is this year. But is there anything for you guys that's been up to that level this year?
For me, and I think for most of the GT office, it's been Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, yeah.
I mean,
I have not jumped to
we've
Bloodborne
just
yet.
been talking about it
Yeah,
nonstop.
you didn't cut yourself on that one, Ian? Come on.
Yeah, no, I really want to dive in. I've been traveling, so I haven't had a chance to jump into it. But yeah,
I stayed hands off with all the Souls games, and I'm just hooked, man.
Cool.
It's nutty.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
got
curious.
amazing reviews.
Such a Dynamite exclusive
Yeah,
for Sony.
Oh yeah,
It's really
absolutely
good.
Cool.
You got to give a third code out. What do we got?
Next question. One of them was if you play Bloodborne, but that's already been answered. So this one is from
Not yet.
Tongue
I will.
Surgery. What do you think about the recent trend, I use this term loosely, of normally games that are multi-platform, like Street Fighter and now Street Fighter V, only being on PS4, or Tomb Raider only being on Xbox One.
Yeah.
Do you think that is a good move or a bad move? What are your general thoughts on it?
Well, I think it's a necessary move for a lot of these games to exist. So I know, like, when I was writing the final hours of Titanfall, a lot of people were upset that it was exclusive to Xbox. And the only reason that game really ended up getting made was because Microsoft stepped up and said, hey, we're going to support this. So you look, it's happening a lot with the Japanese publishers, right? You see Capcom with Street Fighter going to Sony. You see Tomb Raider going, at least for some period of time, to Xbox for Rise of the Tomb Raider. And that's a Square game. It's a Japanese publisher. And I think it's largely because those guys can't I don't think the economics don't always work for those big blockbuster games, and they need marketing support. And if Sony's like, hey, we're going to put X million dollars behind Street Fighter if you give it to us exclusively, that's not a bad deal to do. So yeah, listen, every game creator would love to have their games seen by as many people as possible and across as many platforms as possible, right? Like, it pains the guys at Naughty Dog more than anything that The Last of Us, there's this whole audience of Xbox and Nintendo people that are never going to play their games, right? And that sucks, because if you make a Call of Duty at Activision, everyone's going to play it. So I think some of that stuff's just necessary, though, to make those games happen. So yeah, I think it's a growing trend you're probably going to see. And also, with a lot of the first parties, instead of investing in their own teams, it's cool that they can invest in a third-party group that's great at making a great game. And Tomb Raider will be great on Xbox. And I think most gamers, by year 3 or year 4 of the cycle, you could probably end up having both systems anyways. I feel like if who knows, but I feel like maybe not by this year, but by next year, people are going to have it. And look, it's there's so many games out there. If you're a Sony player and you're not going to get Rise of the Tomb Raider for another year or whatever, there's other games that are going to fill time for you, and that's also a way for new games to come in and get attention. Because if Tomb Raider's not on PS4 this year, what's going to be that game for the PlayStation audience? It's going to break through. So yeah, I think it is what it is, and it's only going to keep happening. So yeah, I think people just have to sort of realize that that's what's going to happen for some games. And it sucks when a franchise you love is taken away from a platform. Like Titanfall was birthed on Xbox, so PS4 people didn't know what it was or hadn't played it. But yeah, it sucks with Tomb Raider. It's oh man, I can't play it. Or Street Fighter, it's oh man, yeah. Street Fighter, it's there's so many other fighting games on Xbox. Go, you can play those too. So.
Well, I would love to go to more questions, but we're out of time.
What?
We're not officially out of time, but that's 7. So you
We have to go off the air.
You are no stranger,
7:01.
Jeff, to the marathon live sessions. Having done a
I know, we're back.
E3 with us. How'd that
E3.
feel? How was that hour? It goes by pretty
That
quick.
was great,
doesn't
man.
it?
Yeah, it's fun to do something live like this. We'll be back tomorrow shooting bonus round, which
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if it'll go up this weekend or next weekend, but yeah,
Be great to have you on before the Game Awards, maybe after E3.
Totally, yeah, I'm
We're
gonna
gonna
try
be here live all through E3.
I'm gonna try and come by during E3 because we're doing the live stuff downtown again. But I'd love to come by, and I think it's gonna be a crazy good E3 in terms of
Better than
new
last year,
games.
maybe.
Oh yeah. No,
wow.
the number of big games that are gonna be revealed at E3. I mean, I think there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff. I think it's not everything's gonna be shipping this year, but I think it'll be a really good year for some stuff that people have been waiting to see for a while. From a lot of the developers, I think will hopefully be there. So
And it's
we'll
2
see.
months away, but those 2 months go by so fast, man.
yeah.
I mean,
No,
it's just
even
when
now,
it is April 1st, and I think that's like once you hit April, we know okay, time to plan everything.
Oh yeah,
time to
no,
plan
yeah,
everything
2
we're
months
gonna do.
out, and it's such an exciting time, and I do think this year really is going to deliver some great stuff.
So before we wrap things up, I just want to talk to you guys real quickly about stuff we're doing this week on Game Trailers. We talked before, we're doing the top 10 Dreamcast games this Friday. Tabletop Adventures.
Best
this
show.
week, we'll see the best show we clearly do on Game Trailers. Oh, you're still up here? I'm kidding. This week, Hogger versus Neb. Hogger's enemy. Hogger's
Arch nemesis.
Arch nemesis.
Yeah.
Be a huge battle this week if you're a fan of Tabletop Adventures. Mandatory update, of course, will be on Saturday. Bonus round shoots here tomorrow, just like Mr. Keighley said. Hopefully, we'll have a new episode this weekend. The Axiom Verge review will be coming tomorrow, I believe. And we have some. Sorry, what?
Hopefully
coming tomorrow.
Shooting bonus round. We'll see.
How are we doing, Ian? How's that Axiom Verge review coming?
It'll happen.
Yeah, it's
It'll
coming.
happen,
Okay.
yeah.
Ian had to do this dumb live show instead of cutting that review. My apologies.
Yeah, it's really getting in the way.
We got 3 great Just Plates coming up. Speaking of reviews that we would like to have sooner, but won't. Pillars of Eternity. We recorded a great Just Play today. I thought it was a really great conversation. Great to learn more about that game. Review incoming
Yes.
soon, but we got a Just Played episode that you can check out.
That game is excellent. I just want to say it again.
Also talked to Mr. Ben Moore about City Skylines, which is getting a lot of really great, lot of great talk about City Skylines. So you can check out Just Played for that coming up. Also with Ben Moore and Elise Willems sat down to chat about Life is Strange episode 2. Of course, GT Time we're recording tomorrow. You can check out tomorrow. And the pop facts, speaking of awesome Metal Gear games, some really interesting, you're talking about Metal Gear Solid 2, some interesting pop facts that we did.
Okay.
Lots of sexual tension in Metal Gear Solid 2 that I never realized.
And that's coming soon?
Lots of raunchy stuff happening. We actually did that a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
This Friday we'll be doing a pop facts on Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay, cool.
So we'll be uncovering some interesting factoids about that. Anything you want to plug, Jeff? Anything coming up in the immediate future for you that you want to let fans know about?
No, I mean, it's sort of getting ready for E3, doing a lot of big stuff there that we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. I'm excited about, and Game Awards at the end of the year, but that's we got some time to come back again, and bonus round will be hitting every Sunday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on GT. I think we're entering, I don't know, it might be year like 8 or 9 a bonus round or something like that. It's just crazy. 9 years a bonus round? Wow.
I remember that meeting.
Crazy.
I remember sitting down with
Yeah.
John Slesser when we first came
Yeah.
into MTV, and that's when I met you for the first time. We talked about want to do a show.
That's amazing. 9 years of bonus round. All right,
Get lots of industry peeps, and
we're gonna hit 10. If Boston can hit 100 episodes,
Yeah, right.
Last week, we can hit 10 years of bonus.
we're all just striving to catch up with Kyle Botsman.
I know this guy's on fire.
Jeff, you've done a lot of amazing things in your career, but I mean, Kyle. I mean, come on.
Oh,
Game
please.
Awards are cool, but
We're proud of Bossman. He's and it's, all you guys. It's cool that for you guys to be here. And it's still fun to do bonus round. I mean, I'm not as involved in GT as I used to be, but it's great to see what you guys are doing. And the set is so cool, and being able to do all this live stuff. It's great to see what the team has done. So good work, Jones.
well, nobody's cooler than the awesome people who have been watching this fine stream. Thank you guys so
Yes,
much.
thanks for watching
You can
us.
follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can subscribe to us on Twitch and YouTube. Our YouTube channels, if you do not know, are GT Reviews and Game Trailers. You can check out all our stuff there. You can, of course, visit GameTrailers.com. There's tons of stuff there. Thank you, Mr. Geoff Keighley. Thank
Thanks,
you, Daniel
guys.
Bloodworth, for playing. What's our percentage now, Blood?
57%.
50. So that's a jump right there. What happened? Were you performing better, or do you think you just got through
Some
an
of
easy?
the things were just really short. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we
it's
got-
like
we
I
got
had to
more than
maintain
halfway
speed
through
for
the
12
game.
seconds.
We got more than halfway through the game. Good performance. I'm seeing some good driving as you run right through a couple metal things on the side of the road. But exclusively in first person, I've noticed. You really like to get right in there in the cockpit.
Cockpit
What do you
for
think?
me.
First person or third person? What do you like to do, Jeff?
In racing games?
Yeah.
I tend to be third person.
I love that third person. It's like I mentioned GTA. I just love being outside, looking at those gorgeous cars. They went out of the way to put all these gorgeous cars in the game, Blood. You're not even looking at them. You're looking at the hoods, man. Well, that is it. That's it for GT Live this week. Again, thank you so much, Geoff.
Thanks,
for tuning in.
Jones.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.